Hi, mag-share lang muna ako ha. Hang on. Wait lang, wait lang. Ay, gulo ng hair. Okay, magandang gabi. Ako po si Trixie Cruz-Angeles. Kamusta po kayong lahat? Hindi pa po ako tapos sa viewing natin ng ng The Deep Probe. So, bukas na po yung second half ng preliminary impressions natin. And then all throughout the week, we'll be looking, probably deeply into what the candidates have been saying. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Yeah. But I've been looking at Prof. Clarita Carlos kasi kanina. So, nag-react siya to people who have been questioning kasi mini-misinterpret yung kanyang question on Machiavelli. Yung are you Machiavellian? Yung question na gano'n. And she felt compelled to explain herself. So, sinasabi niya na opposed to Luminous eh. She considers, intellectual vacuousness clearly anathema. Like, let me go directly to what she was saying. Hang on. Sabi niya, yan. Just to provide context to my question last night in relation to the operational code construct. To me, being Machiavellian is characterized by astuteness, strategic thinking, the use of power judiciously, and undertaking any and all means to achieve an end. To be Machiavellian is not to be weak, submissive, incompetent, and intellectually vacuous. Lately, favorite niya itong phrase na to. We'll explain later. Success to a Machiavellian is doing what is necessary when it is necessary. Ah, hang on. Wala yung aking charger. Eh, give me a second. Give me 2 seconds kasi na ano yung charger ko. Hang on, hang on. Sorry. I can't find my charger. Bakit nawala? Okay, we'll have to make do with without it later. But in the meantime, all right. So as we were saying, intellectual vacuousness. This is the favorite. Oops, oops, oops. Ito po. Ito po yung favorite, yung term na intellectual vacuousness. Lately has been the favorite of Prof. Clarita Carlos. Sinasabi niya talaga na na kumbaga, she has made very clear na asal siya sa ganyan. Or she finds it anathema, ayaw niya, rejects it. She goes on to say, given the foregoing, those who will willfully misinterpret my question last night for whatever sinister or evil purpose will best serve mankind by relishing where you are with your with your hot, copious air between your ears. So there, right? Machiavellian, we discussed earlier sa live natin kanina at sinasabi natin na uh, basically what it means is that you are determined. Kumbaga, you will go use any means to get to an end. So, what it really says is about determination. And ang pinipilit ng ibang tao is that it is necessarily evil. Well, ang sinasabi niya, no, it's characterized by astuteness, strategic thinking, the use of power judiciously and undertaking any and all means to achieve an end. So she doesn't necessarily imply that it is evil. Pero I was a little, how do you call this? I was again drawn to her because we use the term, but we don't pair it with the words intellectual. No, we just say vacuousness. She obviously repeats this term intellectual vacuousness kasi may reference to somebody. Now, as we explained dun sa Luminous sa post namin, it basically it means stupid. Ayun, no? Vacuous means having or showing a lack of thought or intelligence. And when she says intellectual vacuousness, it means actually you're stupid. So, so and this is very interesting for me, ha, na that she would mention the stupidity when she knows that there is a correlation between one candidate and the repeated accusations of the lack of intellectual capacity to undertake the role of president. So, yun yung ano natin. Clearly, she is referring to a particular person, although in this instance, it doesn't necessarily mean so. Ang sinasabi lang niya is that, the lack of capacity. Kumbaga, vacuousness, and the term is not accidental. Kasi when you say vacuousness, may root word yan, which is the shared root word for vacuum, meaning nothing. There's nothing. There's kumbaga, when she says copious amounts of hot air between your ears, it's almost the same thing. There is no brain in between the ears, therefore it is filled, and it is filled only with hot air. Oh, ayan. So, in other words, she keeps taking a dig at stupidity. And I find it, how do you call it? Very entertaining. Of course, we love how Prof. Carlos does it. Um, yan. So, sabi ni Arthur Allen Rivares pa lang, may term po kasi na criminal virtue akong napakinggan na search lang po. So, oh, by the way, say hi to Attorney Ahmed is in our comment section just in case you missed it. So, Med, I need a charger. Okay. Anyway, ito, sabi ni JRI Tolentino, may submissive ba siya? May naalala ako, sabi niyo sa karambola, oo lang ng oo. Well, yeah, but submissive from the root submit. You need to subsume yourself, sub, di ba? And so, under, to be under that person, to submit to that person. So, yung submissiveness, yung hindi ka nakikipaglaban at all. Oo ka lang nga ng oo. Sabi ni Ma'am Maricar Agbuya, mas marunong pala sila kay Prof. Carlos, di dapat sila na lang ang nag-panelist. Dami nilang alam eh. Yeah, para sa akin, okay lang na mag-discuss. Pero yung you will attribute words or statements to Prof. Carlos that she did not intend, that's what she's saying na ayaw niya. Oh, that's what para sa akin, I really like that. That she will stand firm dun sa kanyang assertion on na na she did not intend this statement or this particular word in any negative sense. And as a matter of fact, ang sinasabi niya is that there's virtue in being Machiavellian because you have firm goals in mind. Ito yung gusto mo, ito yung kailangan mo, and you will reach at nothing. You will stop at nothing, kumbaga. Sorry. You will stop at nothing to achieve those ends. Okay. Thank you. Down to 10%. The fan won't turn on. Ayan. So, and she has kumbaga, she's lived up to it. Yung her impatience with the lack of intellectual virtue of certain people, then nice. Dun sa nagtatanong kung nag-live na po ba ako dun sa second half ng probe, hindi pa po. Sorry, I'm just fixing this because I had to adjust. Alright. Ayan, nag-ano na siya. Ayan. Sabi ni Alvin Parocha, the end justifies the means. Good day. Sana pag nanalo si na BBM, kayo malagay sa pwesto ni Andan. I've reacted to this before. And what I keep saying is that I'm flattered that you consider me, but we don't really know about that. Salamat sa pagpapaintindi sa maraming malabong bagay. Mary Garcia says, mahirap po kasing intindihin and or tanggapin ang Machiavellian concept sa mga tao who only see things in black and white. Yun nga yung parati nating sinasabi. The entrance of a BBM into the return of BBM to the national scene, it scares some people. And we're not just talking about the narrative anymore kasi it turns things upside down. Which is exactly what I like about BBM's candidacy. Na nagugulo yung mundo nila. Ito yung sinasabi, ina-attempt dati kasi ni VP Lenny to do something like this. Kasi yung sinasabi niya dati, we try to disrupt. Diba? Yun yung term na ginamit niya. Now, the term disruption can also be negative and it can be positive. So, in certain issues, we disrupt the status quo. Ginugulo natin yung dating nang tinatanggap natin so that we can effect change. Ngayon, ang pagbabago, hindi yan parating peaceful. Hindi yan parating madali tanggapin para sa mga tao. So, dahil aasahan natin na may nagre-reject dun sa bagong mga idea na yon, bardagulan talaga yan. For the longest time, di ba? Kahit dun sa science, hindi tinatanggap yung konsepto ng solar-centered system nga. That the universe or the solar system did not revolve around the earth. Ang teorya kasi ng mga church people, ng simbahan, is that dahil sa importansya natin, dahil mga anak tayo ng Diyos, tayo ang nasa kalagitnaan ng buong universe. And nung nailabas ni Copernicus at saka ni Galileo, at finalo up ni Galileo yan, providing the evidence necessary, mahirap tanggapin. At itong kahirapan tanggapin, that this is what causes yung hindi pagkakaintindihan. Kasi parang invested sila at the idea na nasa gitna tayo yung pinaka-important na celestial body. Sabi ni Blue, fan of everything. Slightly unrelated, pero napansin ko na si PFEM never stutters in his speech but he says, often. BBM is the opposite. He stutters but never says, both know how to deliver their message. Yeah. And why is that? Well, I suppose some people kasi think that it is very, very important na magaling sa public speaking. And yes, it does have a place. Kasi kunwari, sa Senado, mahalaga na marunong ka makipag-usap, na you can deliver yung iyong necessary na speech that nakakaantig ka, yet you can move your colleagues into voting for your measure if all you have is your ability to speak and to persuade. So, importante po yon. Not Galileo. Sabi ni Daldit pa sa Mountain, that was Galileo against Copernicus. No. Si Copernicus yung first theory ng solar-centered universe. Nag-follow up lang si Galileo. Double check ko ha. I'm pretty sure of it. Copernicus theory. Heliocentrism. Yeah, Copernicus ang una. Follow up lang si Galileo. Sabi ni Ma'am Shi, sabi ni Otaner, hindi daw siya Machiavellian, she prefers cappuccino. Ang dami ng jokes kanina. Sabi ni Jake yung Machiavellian na yan, gusto ko sana i-search ang meaning habang nagsasalita pa si BBM. Kaso di ko rin alam ang spelling. Tapos nung nakita ko na sa Google after, malalim naman ang nakalagay ng meaning. Erwin Ponce says, I don't get why negative na negative ang tingin nila sa pagiging Machiavellian. Every one of us at one point made a Machiavellian choice. Deep inside all of us, there is a Niccolo Machiavelli residing within. Sabi ni Ma'am Rowena Mendoza, tama ang agency na pinagbigyan ni BBM Sara ng kanilang CV sa SMNI. Sigurado na mai-apply sa tao ng tapat at tunay, walang kudaw. LT says, a person can only have a wide vocabulary if one reads a lot in the first place, especially real books, when still a kid with hard pages. My bias. Well, you know that's not true. Kaya nga sinasabi niya that it's your bias. It isn't the kind of book that you're reading, it's the fact that you're reading. Before we went to law school, dun sa orientation, sinabihan kami sa actually even before we took the exams sa entrance exams sa UP, the law aptitude exam, sinabihan kami kung hindi kayo mahilig magbasa, wag na kayong tumuloy. Kasi talagang pag-aaral ng batas ay maraming pagbabasa. Bukod pa nun, kung hindi nga malawak ang iyong bokabularyo, hindi ka talaga makakapasok. So marami pong mga exams that require a large vocabulary. Civil service is one of them. Yung entrance, of course, and exams to law, yung mga aptitude exams for law are another. Sabi ni Deo Volente, Prof. Carlos clarified somehow to BBM that she was referring to the positive Machiavellian as it may mean negative or positive depending on its use. Yeah, she did. And as a matter of fact, that's why siguro naiinis siya kasi the twisting of her words to make it appear that when BBM admitted that he is Machiavellian, it's as though he admits to being a bad person. So whereas kinlarify naman ni Prof. Carlos during the interview that she in fact meant it in a positive way. Para sa akin kasi all this talk is only helping people kasi ayan na naman, once again, meron na naman tayong natutunan. Thank you, Professor Carlos. Sabi ni Venus Santilla Noveno, kung ikukumpara sa pag-apply ng trabaho, parang yung CNN and COMELEC presidential debate, ay tipong screening ng mga applicants tapos yung sa SMNI tipong madibdiban panel interview sa mga higher up sa kumpanya ng mga nakapasa sa screening. Yeah. We talked about smart shaming this morning. And napansin ko na isa pa yon na ginagamit sa smart shaming yung SMNI. Kasi after the first presidential interview, debate, dun sa SMNI, may mga nagsasabing, ano yan, thesis defense? Bakit? Anong masama dun sa format na ganun kung nakakapagbigay ito ng mas maraming impormasyon para sa mga botante. Sabi ni Ma'am Eden Wash, eto okay 'to, Winston Churchill, who like BBM likes very much, was Machiavellian. Probably couldn't have won World War II had he not been Machiavellian. PM Margaret Thatcher was Machiavellian and she's not perfect, I hasten to add. Yun. Sabi ni Von Bernardinat, naka-duty ako sa work ngayon dahil sa pag-live mo, ito nanonood na lang, mamaya ng trabaho. Another interesting topic naman kasi to. Shout out kay Mrs. ko, Alma Lingat, isang masugid na tagapakinig mo sa Karambola. Mabuhay po. By the way, maraming salamat din dun sa mga lumapit sa akin kanina during the Sarah One event. This was really intended to get yung mga various support groups na Inday who are heartily supporting the uni team. Tapos sila po ay para mapasalamatan din at saka ma-acknowledge sila and to gear things up dahil nag-umpisa na po ang local elections. By the way, that's another thing. Ang pag-umpisa po ng local elections means magbabago din yung campaign styles ng ating mga kandidato. Since nasa national na po, ang focus will be on the local candidates. So medyo maaano na yan, magiging mas fragmented. Kaya nakikita natin na si Mayora Inday, pinadala niya dun sa rally kasama ni BBM si Vice or soon to be Mayor Baste. So they can cover more ground. They can go to more sorties of the locals para mas marami silang nakakausap at mas marami silang na nakaka-interact. Si ICPS3 Investigation said, "Maayong gabi. First time to comment from Iloilo City with love." Salamat, may love pa talagang babaon. Thank you. Sabi ni Maribel Dabalos, what is the new world order na binabanggit ni Sas? Alright, when you talk international relations, I right now hindi ko pa kasi tapos panoorin ng buo. Yung sinasabi dati kasi ni Prof. Carlos, we used to have spheres of influence. There was the pro-US side and then the pro-Russia side. So it was a polarized world. And I hope that's that's correct. But this is just a guess for now. I will have to verify this later. Pero yung pagkaintindi ko, yun na nga, nagbabago na ang mundo, nagbabago na yung world order natin. Hindi na tayo dependent on spheres of influence, which was what most of the Cold War was all about. And now we can pick and choose, kumbaga, who we will align ourselves with, who we will trade with, who we're going to have diplomatic relations with, hindi nadidikta ng iba. And this might lead to a more balanced perspective of how everybody else works. Kumbaga, kasi ang US, they seem to like the idea of casting everybody in their own image. Or parang drawing the world in its own image. So before they got to this status, marami muna silang pinagdaanan. They had things like slavery, discrimination. They had a lot of problems, and then once they had worked them out or working towards working them out, they would now like to impose the standards that they achieved through so much evolution immediately on people who may not have developed the concept or the capacity to do it yet. So parang yung sa ICC, there are certain countries na hindi pa nila kakayanin given their particular cultures na immediately i-apply yung mga konsepto of human rights to their own society. So they will fail in standards set by the West or by countries like the US hindi talaga aabot sa mga ganong standards. And kumbaga, because of this constant failure, they will always be relegated to, kumbaga, they will not be able to develop or catch up to the more developed, more sophisticated nation states. Mm. Ah, bakit daw maganda sagot ni BBM at alam ang Machiavellian, sabi ni Mark David, eh di naman daw siya degree graduate. Does it still really matter now? Ulitin ko yung sinasabi ko dati ha. Wala pong requirement sa pagiging kandidato na kailangan degree holder ka. Number one. Number two, he says he has a degree. He says he graduated. And wala rin namang pruweba yung kabila. They just want to mire us into an endless conversation na wala namang magiging resolution. Simple lang naman para sa atin dapat. All of this talk about his qualifications and so on are nothing. What is important is that he is a candidate and he has all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications required by our constitution and existing election laws. So, yung mga hanash na lang about whether or not he actually graduated, yung mga ganon, are simply the propaganda of the other parlor, which we do not need to engage in. Sabi ni Kukay Mule, is the New World Order related to Illuminati? Okay, let's not go into that yet because I'm still hazarding a guess with regard to what SAS means by the New World Order. Bexo Gilon says, hello, you do not need to have a degree to read. BBM mostly is a wide reader kaya he can answer all questions that are thrown at him. Sabi ni Going Abgeek kay Ian, magtigil nga sila sa pangbabash sa SMNI. At least di ako nakasagot ng Dolomite at the height of the pandemic at flag of China na mga sagot. Simpleng instruction di masunod. Si Lenny nga daw di tumagal sa PAW lawyer pero di talaga nakapag-practice. I think she was there less than a year, about 9 months. Sabi ni Jello Galicinao, kung wala siyang diploma, ba't naging prof niya si MDS sa UP College of Law? I don't think BBM was in the UP College of Law. No, it's not in his, I haven't seen it in his resume. Am I mistaken here? Sent to England, It's not in his resume. Yung attendance at the College of Law sa UP. And that's not a good argument either because there was a time that UP would allow you to continue to you could be accepted into the College of Law even if you hadn't graduated your undergraduate degree, but you will be required to complete your undergrad before you finish your law degree. So that's not really a good argument. Sabi ni King Romeo Alves, tingin niyo po ba in just 42 days biglang tataas si Lenlen at biglang bababa si BBM sa ratings? I seriously doubt it. What's important here is momentum. MDS said that BBM was once her student, but I think she did not say that it was in UP. Yes, nor did she say that it was in the College of Law. Sabi ni Robert Sibug, having a doctorate does not necessarily mean you are educated or competent or even intelligent. I mean, there are idiots with doctorate degrees. Sabi ni Nansky, si Amy yung nag-College of Law sa UP. Yes, she did, in fact. I thank you, kay Ma'am Ava, for your super sticker. Vinny's Random Thoughts and PC Repair Shop says, every time Prof. Carlos posts on FB, there's a word na hindi familiar sa atin o bago sa pandinig ng karaniwang hampas lupa na papag-google tayo. No, I like that. Dati kasi kapag ako nagsasalita o nagpo-post, sinasabihan ako either, bakit ka nag-i-English, Tagalogin mo naman? Wala kaming naiintindihan. Or worse, sinasabihan ako na, you speak in English, Filipino naman tayo. You speak in Filipino, mag-Tagalog ka naman kasi Filipino naman tayo, o mag-Filipino ka naman, mag-Filipino naman tayo. Which, therefore, compels me to remind everybody that English is an official language of this country. Sabi ni Ryland, Angelo Cabrera, good afternoon, having lunch po and watching your live. Luminous and pinapaitan, perfect combination. Shout out to my wife, Joella, love your show. Papaitan, tsaka Luminous. Okay yan, ah. Sabi ni Arya Pukan, sabi ni MDS before sa isang interview, naging student niya daw po si BBM. Yes, but she did not say it was in the College of Law. I think people are just assuming that because MDS was a professor in the College of Law sa UP. Sabi ni ICP investigation, Nax. ICPS3 investigations. Nax, happy here. Pumapalpitate yung heart ko po while you were reading my message. Diyos ko, I don't want to be responsible for your health issues. Thankful po talaga kami sa inyo at nadagdagan ng kaalaman namin, especially me as a policewoman. Naku ma, maraming salamat po for all the good that you do. Good evening, sabi ni Ma'am Sheila Bahero. Batang UP, dekada 70. Says, anyone can improve his or her vocabulary by being a conscientious reader. Even watching English movies and TV shows can definitely improve your vocabulary. Yeah. But when we say vocabulary, it means in any language. Ha? Ibig sabihin, marami kang alam na words. At ako, I'm still trying to improve my Filipino vocabulary. Thank you, kay Life Adventure. Sabi ni Hazel V, love you, Attorney Twix. Watching you from Melbourne, Australia. I listen to you all the time. I learn so much from you. I think I am a Machiavellian. Very good. Brutus Turagsoy says Machiavellian was always imbued as being cunning with no morality. But if you use it with unbiased judgment and humanity, you can still achieve your goals, i.e. ends. Yeah. Okay. So the nice thing again, like I said, about Prof. Carlos is that I don't see anybody telling her na mag-Tagalog ka naman, o mag-Filipino ka naman. Siguro sa akin lang kayo asara, no? And nobody tells her to use small words. Nobody tells her to say, nobody tells her and says, why do you use such big words? Di ka namin maintindihan. Use smaller words. The nice thing about it also is that it compels people to look things up, study on their own. And it always helps, 'di ba? Umaangat tuloy yung diskurso. So, she has contributed a lot to the discussions nitong campaign season. Kian says, off topic, if makausap niyo po si Alex Lopez, paki-ask kung pwedeng i-ask kung pag-aari pa ng Manila, ang Quiapo Church, Rizal Park, etc. Sabi ni Kiko, ni Isko, pati City Hall ibebenta para naman siyang nagpatayo. Well, you can't. Yung Quiapo Church, I understand, is owned by the diocese. Uh, Rizal Park is owned by the national government. City Hall, of course, will probably be owned by the local government. But since it's a historic site, if he tries to sell that, there will be a right of first refusal on the part of the NCCA or the National Museum. So it's unlikely that he will be able to do so very easily. Uh, Sabi ni El, Dameg, bakit ganon si Guanzon? Puno ng galit ang puso niya. Galit sa speech niya sa rally niya kahapon, parang the attorney. Um, there's nothing naman that bars lawyers from fiery speech. There's nothing wrong with that. Hindi lang. And if she commits libel, pwede naman po siyang kasuhan. Although, I think na alam din naman nila na si BBM is not the type um, who will file libel cases unless talaga yung masama na. Pero dahil kampanya to and he is a public figure, mataas yung yung requirement na evidentiary requirement para mapatunayan na malisyoso yung pagkakasabi nito. Thank you kay John Carlo Espiritu. Any aversion to learning, sabi ni Get Real, new or unfamiliar English words is the height of laziness, apathy at its worst. Erudition empowers you. Hmm. I just confirmed from a video interview of Madame Santiago by Inquirer, Marcos Jr. did enter into UP Law but did not finish. That's unusual because we never talked about it. We knew about Aimee because Aimee graduated. Huh. Yeah, let's look it up. I'm not that confident about the Inquirer kasi I haven't seen any other record of his entering the College of Law. However, yun na nga, you can enter, there was a time before, nung time namin hindi na pwede. You could, kung hindi pa tapos yung undergraduate degree mo, pero like a unit or so, ganun, at nakapasa ka na ng entrance, most of the time kasi may nagkakamali eh. Like, kini-clear for graduation. One of my classmates was cleared for graduation sa undergrad, na-accept na sa College of Law, tapos nagpadala ng notice yung undergrad sa college at sinabi, may kulang pa palang 3 units or so yung isang classmate ko. So nagalit yung mga admin ng College of Law kasi sinabi nila, that's not the fault of the student. You should allow him to complete his requirements at his own pace. Sabi ni Bernadette Nicart, kaya bonggang-bongga nilang laitin si BBM kasi alam nila na hindi sila papatulan. Yeah. Winnie Monsod even claimed, di ba Marcos was her student, but I heard somewhere, di naman talaga siya naging estudyante. Monsod claimed kasi BBM is not bright at all. Yeah, because as far as I know nga, hindi nag-UP si BBM because of course, I'm willing to be corrected on that. Alam ni Guanzon at kapwa nila Dilawan na hindi katulad nila si BBM na what is trikot sila kaya mapang-abuso silang kontra BBM. Jello Galicinao says, here's the link po sa YouTube interview with Karen Davila. Drop out nga lang daw. So, si Miriam yung sinabi. Nakita mo yung post ni Lustre ba yun sa Twitter na nagbibigaw daw ng for, Ma'am, Baka nakita ninyo yan sa wall namin, nakapost po yun doon. May pagkakaparehas at resemblance yung usapan at interview nila sa Milton Friedman's Free to Choose na show sa US. Sana lang magkaroon din dito sa PH since makakapag-pa-analyze at makakasali tayo sa usapang pambansa at social science. Para dun sa mga nagsasabi na, if I've seen Com Guanzon, Com Bing's speech at the rally and alluding to mental competence, I've seen it. I don't think that she's crazy or anything like that. She's just doing herself. That's it. Kumbaga, you do you. Hayaan nyo na. We know what her feelings were. Pero ang tanong nga is, did she do or say anything that has made any conversions? Nakapagkumbinsi ba siya? Meron bang naantig dun sa kanyang pananalita na ito ba ang magiging dahilan sa pag-drop dun sa ratings ng kandidato? Kung hindi, hindi effective. Nagre-react tayo to the form when we should be reacting more to the result. Sabi ni Leonard Ansag, good PM to you and all your viewers. I watched Arnel Ignacio's vlog inside Okada. Nagkagulo po nang pumasok si BBM. Grabe, naging political rally. Nagising yung mga inaantok. May nabasa ako sa Twitter na pinapasoli daw ng Supreme Court ang hiniram ni Trixie na alahas under Pinoy's term. Is this true po? I have not seen any confirmation of that, and in fact, pina-fact check daw po yan. So as far as we're concerned, I have not seen any official documents as to that. Kumbaga, sabi-sabi siya, and yung mga tao na nag-post ng ganon have been fact-checked at sinabi wala pong ganon. Any plans na makasali sa The Deep Probe Panelist pag naging regular show na siya sa SMNI? Huwag niyo naman ako hinga ng plano na gano'n. Hindi naman ako ina-ask, kayo naman. Those people who are constantly mocking and use vulgar words against BBM reflects their smelly personality. Si Guanzo naman ang napapahiya sa kanyang pinaggagawa. Yeah, so that's what we're saying na 'di ba early on na nagbabago yung mundo. We like this BBM candidacy kasi nga it shakes things up eh. This is what real disruption is. People are changing, kumbaga the things that they consider for leadership. They also are very cognizant of failures of past administrations. Ibig sabihin, hindi, kumbaga yung choices natin, at alam natin to, and it is very conscious on our part, na hindi lang tayo bumuboto ng isang kandidato. Binoboto din natin kung sino yung hindi uupo. Kumbaga, and it's a conscious choice. Binoboto din po na part of the choice is a rejection of those people who have failed us. So, at yung disappointment natin dun sa failures ng mga past administration is not just driving us towards the Marcoses or towards BBM. It is driving us to discount, na wag na natin i-consider yung mga standards that had been set for us by previous administrations. Now, ito kasi yung nagiging impression. Dun sa mga nauna, dun sa mga nasa ibang mga administrasyon, mga previous administrations, sasabihin nila, dapat walang bahid. Dapat hindi corrupt. Pero, pag sila na po ang nakakasuhan, gumagawa sila ng paraan. O pagka sila na yung in danger na makasuhan, gumagawa sila ng paraan, and some of them subvert the judicial system para lang hindi sila makasuhan o makonvict. In other words, tinatapalan ang isang kasalanan with another crime o kasalanan, dinadagdagan na lang nila ng isa pa, makaiwas lang. And so, kung wala silang record, ibig sabihin, pwede nilang iabang na kami, hindi kami corrupt. Yan, yung taong yan. Dahil may kahinaan sa judicial system, dahil walang kilala, kumbaga, o hindi ganun ka-powerful, pwede nilang i-impose yung standards nilang ganyan, yung mga walang bahid na ganyan, i-impose nila standards to people who are powerless and become therefore more powerless. Paano pa aabot dun sa punto na yung mga taong mahina na to begin with and therefore cannot stave off uh, nuisance cases and all that? Kung mahina ka politically, lalo kang hihina kasi yung mga kaso mo nagsasucceed. Yung mga kalaban mo nagsasucceed. So it is a way of entrenching themselves into power. Naiintindihan, I hope naiintindihan nyo, ano? Kumbaga, the powerful will set standards that the not so powerful will never live up to. Hindi kakayanin. So yung mga sinasabi na walang bahid, it's because people who have no access to power will be even more deprived of power. Hindi makakalapit. Hindi magiging opisyal. Kasi they will set standards that are impossible for the powerless to be able to achieve. Okay? And itong eleksyon na to, binabasag niya yan. Kung in spite of everything, makakayanan na labanan ni BBM yung mga impossibly set standards na yon, it opens it up for other people as well. I am no longer entertaining questions about the possibility of cheating because there is no indication for a continued discussion on this. I am very worried. Kumbaga, parati kong conscious dito na hindi namin masyadong tutuunan ng pansin maliban lang kung matindi ang ebidensya ng pagkakataon na magkaroon ng pandaraya. Kasi kung uulit-ulitin natin yan and we feed into your fears, these things might have basis later on, gagamitin ito ng kalaban mamaya. We will not cast any doubt on the electoral system not without evidence. We will not base doubt on the electoral system on mere conjecture and fears. Hindi po yan ebidensya. Yung takot natin ay hindi ebidensya. BBM is the polished diamond while Duterte is the rough diamond. I disagree. Duterte's ways or mannerisms might be rough by certain standards, but he is certainly nothing less of a diamond of the highest order because, he came into the national office already experienced, gulping-gulpi na, and his skills already honed. No, he's not a rough diamond. Okay. How can somebody judge BBM that he did not graduate in Oxford? Did they even get into the gates of Oxford? Sabihin na po natin hindi siya nakagraduate. Can they face Dr. Carlos in the SMNI interview? Yeah. Well, some people are late bloomers. Okay? Marami sa atin kasi to become productive as early as possible, raratatin natin yan, di ba? Grade school all the way to college, yung iba nagma-masters pa, nag-postgraduate studies immediately after graduating. their first degree. Some of us discover learning later on and how much fun it is. So, we don't, kumbaga, there's some people who mature early and there's some people who do it later. But the point is that you do your learning at some point in your life. So why would we take it against somebody if he had made mistakes in his younger years and then keep hammering at it, even if those mistakes are no longer repeated, even if that person has learned his lessons, even if he's a completely different human being already later on. Ang sabi nga nila ng mga dalubhasa, after 7 years, lahat ng cells natin sa katawan natin na-replace na yan. Ganyan, di ba, yung process natin? We continuously, cells are continuously being created and cells die. So, every 7 years, every single cell in your body is no longer is already replaced. Ibang tao ka na, so to speak. And you still look the same and all that. But that's informed by genetics and by cellular memory. But if we're different biologically every 7 years, doesn't it also follow that whatever we were inside, whether it is our intellect, our values and all that, that we also change, and that after so many it changes. Kumbaga, we're not the kids we were before. Nobody expects us to have the same traits as we had when we were kids. But why? Simply because there has been a passage of so many years. Why that in spite of the passage of so many years, we still expect people to be the same. That that you're going to repeat those mistakes. If malapit lang, let's say last year lang ito nangyari, then yeah, magidalawang isip ako. But every so often, we have to understand, people change. We have to remember that. Sabi ni Maricar Michael Manawis, bakit yung mga artists ng Paglinawan nagdidemanda ng mga bashers? Bakit yung Marcos family lahat ng masasakit na salita sinabi sa kanila, tahimik lang sila? Because they understand that politics is addition and they do not want to engage into any activity that causes permanent creates permanent enemies. Dapat walang permanence na ganon. Yeah, no, sabi ni Wine C.A. Ramos, even your blood in your body dies and is changed by a new one. By new one, yeah. Hindi sa pagiging pessimist, sabi ni Brent. What's the worst scenario once BBM becomes president? Grabe ang galit na pinapakita ng kabilang parlor. Ano pa kaya pag nanalo si BBM? Well, what was the worst thing that they tried to do during Duterte's administration? And unfortunately, they sent Sunny Trillanes to carry out some of those activities and talk about incompetence, di ba? Uh, okay, hindi ko po na, guys, if you're going to ask a question, tapos magli-link kayo, wala akong oras to follow the link. So ask your question. Write out the premise. Write out what your basis of the question is. We will answer naman your questions. Huwag niyo naman kaming papahirapan. Sabi ni Sir Jen TV, I don't understand these people. For 35 years, ganun pa din ang battle cry nila. Kakasawa na din. I admire BBM and how he calmly takes all of these braha from illogical people. Sabi ni Marnives, patulog na daw ako. Are you saying that in a good way or in a bad way? Kasi yung ganyan, matulog ka na is usually said in a negative connotation, with a negative connotation. Yung mga tipong, shut up, stop talking, go to sleep. Ganyan. So I need to know what is the intention of your statement. Okay, so I'm sorry, Tanya, I cannot answer your question because you did not explain it. You did not tell me what the cannot follow while I'm doing live. Sabi ni Ma'am Eden, ang kikitid ng utak ng mga nag-i-insist sa Ox diploma, yan ba yung ad hominem na sinasabi ni Prof? When one can't say anything else, it means talo na, bored out of my, yeah, with that argument. Sabi ni Ian kung pwede daw round 2 nung kay BBM. I think he's really busy na now eh. Nahiya na akong mag-ask. Actually, yeah, barely asked before. He was so, you know, tingnan niyo yan yung willingness niya to be interviewed one-on-one. And magkaka-comments yun. Yun yung tingin ko, that was really very brave of him. Eto, hi, sabi ni Ian Yu, do you think Ping Lacson thing is just part of the ultimate goal of endorsing Robredo and that the talks of a united opposition might push through? No, I don't think so. Because one, the idea of a united opposition constantly keeps failing every time somebody brings it up. And no, I don't think it's gonna happen. Not right now. And even then, even if a united opposition happens, if the ratings of the leading candidates are over 50%, I don't see how they're going to still scrabble together any numbers. Sabi ni Brian Medalye, what if you will be offered a seat in the cabinet? Aling department ang preference niyo? I don't really like to speculate, number one. And number two, I don't like to be presumptuous. Bakit ko naman iisipin yon? Wala po tayong iniisip na ganon. So, all right. So again, I'd like to reiterate the importance of vocabulary and that Professor Carlos has now paved the way for us to be able to learn to discourse using bigger words. And we don't ask people to dumb themselves down. Instead, we try to rise to that level. Kailangan mawala na rin sa atin yung mga Tagalogin mo, yung mga ganyan. Kung hirap, well, you can say that, kung hirap mag-English. Pero yung papatigilin yung nag-i-English yung isang tao, simply because you cannot catch up, well, that means that you have to catch up. Not everybody will be able to, kumbaga, to discourse without the terms that are necessary. So, pero for instance, dito sa Luminous, we try to be as lucible. Yeah. That was a term used by the wife of Abraham Lincoln. Si Mary Todd Lincoln used to say that to her husband, be lucible, Abraham. Be clear. So, and we must not be afraid of long words or even tough words or of tough ideas. Kumbaga, the brain is a muscle. And if we don't use it, if you don't expand it, include new things into it, then it will atrophy. What is atrophy? Nabubulok dahil hindi ginagamit. So, and we should take this, and that's the other thing na maganda dito sa maganda dito sa election na ito, dito sa campaign period na ito. We are always learning and now we're learning so much more. Dati nanonood lang tayo habang nag-bombastic speech yung mga kandidato natin, di ba? Tuloy-tuloy yan, mga tapos na-impress tayo. Wow, galing-galing. people who have been keeping so many other people ignorant, kayang-kaya nila tayo. Uy, impress na tayo. Kala naman natin, galing-galing nila. Yung pala tayo lang yung ginagawa nilang tanga. So now, things are changing. People are, kumbaga, smartening up. And it's so good to see. And it's so good to hear that people are now, you're rushing to Google. Ay, di ko naiintindihan yan. Google. Natututo na rin yung iba to go beyond the easy attack on virtue, 'di ba? Yung madaling yung mga tipong may sinasabi, may ina-argue. Kunwari, may tamang sinabi si BBM tapos hihirita na. Eh di ka naman graduate eh. As if that had anything to do with the discussion. So mga natututo na tayong makarecognize ng mga ad hominems. Yung mga easy things like that. But even more importantly, intindihin din natin na for the longest time, those people who were in power have kept us deliberately ignorant. Deliberate po yan. Yung substandard education. Yung mga hindi pinapansin yung mga decrepit schoolhouses, outdated books, mga pasang-awa na teachers from times gone by, mga ganyan. It was deliberate on the part of the people who were in power. It is also deliberate na our politicians and our leaders would set standards that are impossible for us to attain. Walang bahid, walang bahid, walang bahid, sasabihin nila yan. Pero some people are more susceptible to being sued and not being able to win those cases as compared to other people. The powerful, they can do more. And they can set standards that will be impossible for us to live up to. Leadership requirements that will be impossible for us to be able to comply. That's what they have been trying to do. Insisting on hindi naman ito graduate. Kasi sila graduate. Insisting na walang bahid kasi may kaso itong mga taong to. Diba? Insisting para sila lang ang maaaring maging mga leaders natin. Tapos na po yung panahon na yon. Nagbabago ang mundo. Nagbabago na tayo. Natututo na tayo. Yun po yun. Bukod pa doon, bumabalik na ang power. Tama itong si Ian eh. Bumabalik po ang power sa taong bayan. Social media has put the power back into the hands of the individuals. People who otherwise would have no other power. Our speech empowers us. That's why it is important para dun sa mga katulad ni na Maria Ressa to set standards impossible for us to achieve. Yan po yung fake news. Kasi sasabihin as fact checker, sasabihin nila, kami ang magde-determine kung ano yung fake news and never kayong magiging real news. Pwede nilang gawin yan sa atin. So again, setting standards so that people will be excluded from the levers of power. People will be excluded from rising from above their station. Kumbaga, from improving themselves so that our leaders who are leaders now will always be the leaders forever and will perpetuate themselves into power. These are means of perpetuating themselves into power, in power. So, and this is part of what should make us happy. That these elections are going this way. That these elections are showing us that one, we have power, and two, we know what the people in power are doing. The people who occupy leadership positions, they are telling us they don't want us to rise to their level, and so they will set standards. BBM is changing that. Yeah, they can come from a family that has been forced into exile, and come back and occupy positions of leadership and power. We are changing the equation, the formulas. Sabi ni, ano din, Jess, this is low-key political renaissance. Correct. Low-key political, perfectly said. Things are changing. And we should be excited and happy about this. Let's not get bogged down into the nagkakasuhan or nag-iinsultuhan. That's the fun part, but not the most essential part. Recognize it. Recognize that we are growing in our power and that it is coming back to the people. Ang sinasabi nga, ignorante tayo, tanga, bobo, masasama, and all that. Ikaw, Angeles, dami mong kaso, etc. Why? Because they want to keep us small. Yun. They want to keep us small and powerless and incapable of upending the status quo, and incapable of disrupting the power, the continuous use of power by certain families and certain people. They're changing us. Ito sabi ni Christian, mas gusto talaga nila na bobo majority ng Pinoy para marami silang maloko. Katuwa ang mga netizens, daming nakikimarites kay Sas kung ano daw ba yung binulong ni BBM sa kanya after the interview. Attorney Isko pala si Miss Mocha, no? BBM kasi kami dito mga OFWs. Anyway, respect her political view. Yes po. Which is a good attitude to take. The freedom, I agree, sabi ni Ma'am Elena Hamanda, the freedom of speech has been emphasized more and has become more powerful through social media. The move to let people stay dumb has been crushed because of social media. Yes, but it is not over because they keep trying. They keep trying to keep us small and we should resist that. Resist it as much as you can. Disagree with the concept of fake news because some things are not yet true and yet become true later on. Some things are not yet true because nobody knows it is true yet. So let's resist that. Let's resist. Let's be Galileo and say, yes, it's still, but yes, it turns. Yes, we revolve around the sun. Let's not be afraid of that. Sila kasi Marcos boogeyman eh. Mga, hala, babalik ng martial law. Pananakot. Hala, why? They're questioning our choices. They want to call us stupid because they want us to be stupid. And when we exercise our power, when we finally achieve some kind of enlightenment, they'll tell us, we're wrong. How are we wrong? Mas marami kami. Yan, Ma'am Teresa Sanggalang says, collective consciousness. Uy, maganda yan, ha? Collective consciousness of people are very much alive. Thus, any amount of negative issues thrown against BBM, walang effect. Yes, kumbaga, ayun, parang, and it's so, for me, satisfying to see them so frustrated. Yung sinasabi nila, di ba, they say things like, bakit ang daming tanga? Bakit lahat sila ganyan? How can we convince them? How can we drag them out of their stupidity? The work has not been put in, guys. You did not put in the work. If you wanted us to be truly intelligent, you would have cared about the educational system 30 years ago. You would have cared every day. You would have put in your time helping out the kids in school. You would have cared, but no, you don't. You don't really care. You're frustrated. These people frustrated over our choices are frustrated mostly at their inability to convince us. And this is what the message is for these elections. It is the realization of our power, the realization that that the things that they used to scare us, The things that they used to keep us small, those things are breaking down. We are changing. The world is changing. Even things like standards, they're changing now. The people are speaking and they're not listening. They keep thinking that they can impose their opinion on us. Again, that imposition of opinion on us is another way to keep us small and powerless. Let's not do that. Let's not let them anymore. Sabi ni Clea Person, thank you for your super chat. Happy to see you. I'm sending you happy vibes, and BBM Sarah will be our president and VP this 2022. We are positive and we will stand for what we believe. God bless us all. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, we've been here more than an hour. May karambola po tayo bukas. Maraming salamat na sinabayan niyo po kami. And yes, tama si Ma'am Clea. Let's keep positive. Things are changing and they're changing for the better. But change hurts people, some people, di ba? Yung parang pagka nagbibinata ka, naging adolescent ka, uh, we changed. Uh, Nose teste ipsum says. Okay, let's deal with this one. Why do you want BBM to win election? After all, they ruled 20 years in the Philippine government. His dad did. Um, why did you not insist on an anti-dynasty law if that is your thinking? There were years and years when you could have put in the mechanisms that would have prevented BBM from coming into power. Why didn't you speak them then? Why are you questioning the wanting instead of the preventing? Why is this your choice to go after the people's choice rather than to go after the mechanisms that have made this possible? And also, why did you not object to the educational system, to the electoral system? It's not like as if people just make their choices out in a vacuum. There are things that have persuaded us. Ako, it isn't about how long they have been power, but what BBM represents right now. And that he represents this change. You don't have to agree, but that's the way I'm seeing it. He's symbolic. And I do make a distinction between father and son. Okay? So maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa karambola. Ay, karambola. Sorry. Sa Luminous ngayon. Wait, I want to end on a happy note. I need to be able to read ano, a happy comment. Brent P says, I just love how I learn a lot from you. Nakakatalino pag nanonood sa'yo. Thank you. Si Tuensky, thank you very much dun sa super sticker ninyo. Sabi ni Noskite, ipsum, mabul pa rin. As a lawyer, you understand the 87 Constitution. Oh, so now you're throwing the lawyer thing at me? How is that relevant? Yes, it's in the Constitution, but nobody has ever put in a law. Yeah? You know that. It is not self-executory, that provision in the Constitution. And yes, even I know that. So, yeah, it's in the Constitution, but nobody has created a law. So, what are you complaining about? You're complaining about people's choices when the choice has been made possible because of all of these things that have happened before. Come on, that's like calling the voters bobotante when they are not responsible for solely for their ignorance, when the educational system that they have been compelled to go through has not raised the standards. And that we have only realized this very recently when the Department of Education agreed to participate in the evaluation of students and to find out how really badly off we were, and that everybody knew this, politicians knew this, leaders knew this, ordinary people knew this, and nothing had been done to change it. And now you're going to complain about the effects of that? Really? Ha! It isn't about the Constitution. It's about having let our politicians run roughshod over our lives. No more. Ah, buti na lang andyan ka, sabi ni VG Vlog, para ma-explain ang mga bagay na hindi nalalaman ng iba, lalo na sa akin, kapapanood ko sa'yo, marami akong natutunan. Sige, on that note, maraming salamat. See you guys on Karambola, 8 o'clock tomorrow sa DWIZ 882 AM. On your radio dial. If hindi pa po kayo makafollow sa Luminous, sa Facebook, please follow. And please check also kung nakafollow. By the way, guys, we have to celebrate 400,000 na po ang followers sa ating Facebook page. Oh, 82 pa lang sa YouTube. Let's catch up. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you tomorrow, guys. Sorry. See you tomorrow. Have a good rest for those who are here in the country, and for those who are out, I hope you all have a good day. See you tomorrow.